As tonight we are inviting a member of the Fanalist on to talk recap Week 7 and to preview Week 8 of the NFL, so stay tuned.
Fantasy football, you dealing with the best. Keep it hype, authentic, this ain't nothing like the rest. With the Armchair Fantasy Show podcast, give advice for all the listeners to improve your stats. Yeah, we live on GoingFor2.com. Tuesdays and Fridays, this is what you want. Talking dynasties and daily drafts, and we just getting started, that ain't even the half. Yeah, so go ahead, tell your friends to join. Going for two, cause no one remembers the extra point. Hey, GoingFor2.com, the Armchair Fantasy Show.
What's going on, guys? All right, welcome to episode 112 of the Armchair Fantasy Show. I'm your host, of course, Jeff Lambert. You can follow me on Twitter at JeffLambert77. We're live every Tuesday and Friday night right here on YouTube Live, Facebook Live, and, of course, Periscope. Syndicated on all your major podcast networks and streaming in the GoingFor2 app for iOS and Android. I'm here, as always, on Tuesday night with my co-host, Mr. Ryan Steerfoss. Ryan, how you doing tonight, man?
Fantastic, man. It's trade season in the NFL.
Yes, sir. It is, and it's something that you back in the day, a couple of years ago, you didn't really get a lot of big trades during the trade deadline. Nowadays, it seems like it's commonplace, almost like the NBA nowadays.
Yeah, man. Like a couple of years ago, you'd be like, "Oh, like a backup, outside linebacker gets traded." And a third-string lineman, a special teamer. Now it's like star players.
Yep, it's crazy.
It's great.
It's crazy. All right, also, as I mentioned in the opening here, we have a member of the Fanalist, Mr. Chris Nelson, coming on tonight. He also works for Dynasty Draft Room, man. Chris, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, man. I'm glad to be here. This is a little different for me, so being live, and it's going to be awesome.
All right, good stuff. Yeah, I think people come on the show, and live can be a little daunting at first, but I think once you settle in, and everything will be all good.
I make enough mistakes for everybody. It's cool.
It definitely happens. All right, Chris, if you could just kind of plug, your work, what you do at the Fanalist and Dynasty Draft Room, and where we can find you at.
You guys can find me at the FF Vigilante, and with the Fanalist, I do Dynasty during the season, as far as the Waiver Wire is concerned, and then I do a little bit of everything in the off season. And then for the Dynasty Draft Room, I actually cover the Pac-12 for Devi. So I'm going through over there every single player that you need to know about for your upcoming drafts, and even if the drafts aren't coming up, we're taking care of you from the time they, sign their letter of intent to the time they're getting their name called going across the stage. So
good stuff, man. Awesome. I know, I haven't really been into the Devi scene. I know Ryan's big into that, and even last year, I think I got into the rookies a lot more than I normally do. And this year, I think I'm gonna get into it even more. Definitely want to have you back on, maybe sometime in the off season. We can talk some of that stuff as well, because I loved it last year, talking rookies and previewing the NFL drafts and all that good stuff. So awesome stuff.
Oh, yeah.
All right, guys, let's go ahead. And we got a lot to cover tonight. We got 15 games. Let's go ahead and just jump into the news and notes.
News and notes from around the league.
All right, news and notes is sponsored by ExpandTheBoxScore.com, putting advanced stats in your hand like never before. It's only $15 for an NFL package. That's for a season, not for a month. If you use my promo code GF210, you can save 10%. Expand the box score, #WeHaveStats. All right, guys, let's go ahead and jump into the news and notes here, and got a couple notes from today, a couple trades. Ryan, we'll go to you for the first one here. Mohamed Sanu has been traded to the Patriots. What does that do for the current Patriots receivers, and how does that affect Sanu's value as well?
I think people are overreacting a little bit to it. It's a great move for the NFL team. It's a lateral move, but he was the receiving option in Atlanta on a team that had to pass the ball an absolute ton. He's probably going to be the third in New England who's now a running team. So I don't know how much of an upgrade. I think the sell window on him is fantastic right now. I'd be trying to move him more than anything because everybody goes loco over Patriots receivers. But he's still going to be a wide receiver 3 who may give you a good game here or there. Other than Edelman, I don't really trust them on a week-to-week basis for any other receiver pass catcher on that team. and barely the running backs because you don't know if they're going to give you or who's going to show up. And I don't think Sanu's going to make a huge difference either way. If it hurts anybody, it's probably Josh Gordon, but he's been trash this year too. So
let me ask you:
I'm not.
Does it make you worried about Josh Gordon? He didn't play this past weekend. Does that make you think that maybe his injury is more serious than we thought?
No, I mean the Patriots just make moves whenever they can. I mean, I'm surprised they gave up a second for him,
it's quite a
which
bit.
shows they should probably be using it. They're all in, but they don't care about player production and what that guy can do. It's just what he can bring to the team and what edge they can get. It's better to trot out Edelman, Sanu, and Josh Gordon than just two of them. So I think they're just loading up.
Yep, good point. All right, Chris, we'll go to you for this news here in Washington, D.C., where I'm at. Adrian Peterson missed practice today. He had an MRI on Monday. So we're kind of worried about his status going into Thursday night. And we also had a Darius Geis sighting, actually seen on the field running routes and kind of jogging. If you're in a redraft league, are you looking to add Darius Geis? And if you're in a dynasty, are you looking to buy low on Darius Geis?
Absolutely. At least I won't say we, but I love this kid coming out of LSU. And
Me too.
I saw him as that 2 behind Saquon Barkley in that class. So I would definitely be trying to. I don't know if he'd necessarily be available in Dynasty. If he's been dropped, then go get him. Redraft is where I'm trying to get him and stash him if you have IR spots. But he's like itching to get out there, and he seems like he's been like that since he got hurt the first time. He's always ready to get back out there and really go to work. And with the backfield banged up with Chris Thompson has turf toe or something like that, and then Adrian Peterson has a high ankle sprain, a grade 1, and then a grade 2 low ankle sprain. Like, this dude is barely hanging on. I mean, so guys needs to get back as soon as possible. And what I'm seeing is that he's likely to return week 11 if everything goes the way it is. And the team going to be perfect for him coming out. So
Yeah, good stuff. And, of course, the other news there, Bryce Love had another surgery. So he might be out even longer than they expected. They thought they might have him for the end of the season, but it looks like he will definitely be next year before we can even touch Bryce Love. All right, let's stick with the
banged up.
Yeah, definitely. They're definitely banged up. Sticking with the running backs, Ryan, it looks like the Cardinals signed Alfred Morris, who just seems to never die in this league. Does that make you worried about David Johnson in a situation with his injury after Chase Edmonds blew up this past weekend?
Man, I hate that you gave me this question. I played David Johnson and went against Chase Edmonds this week, and the same team started. What's his name? Zach Pascal too.
Ouch!
I've never been so sick after a loss, so I'm really upset that you gave me this question. I don't think that the Alfred Morris signing is anything for David Johnson. I think it's just not him out there. It's just an extra depth move just in case. I'm a little worried about David Johnson as an owner of him who's recently traded for him. I'm not feeling great about it. But if he's out there, he's still a superior back. I know everybody's gaga over Chase Edmonds now, but David Johnson's done it. He's been there. He's so versatile. And I wouldn't be surprised if they end up using both of them in a significant role. And Johnson's been getting most of his points in the passing game anyways. So I can see a situation, once he's healthy, they both have pretty good value.
All right, good point. All right, we got time for just a couple more. Let's go ahead and hit on the other trade that happened today with Manny Sanders going to the 49ers. What's that do for Sanders' value, and does it help anybody in the Broncos organization as far as value goes, Chris?
Yeah, it's great for him. I believe he goes in there and he's the wide receiver 1 for that team. He's a vet. He knows what he's doing. He was, he was with us for 4 years before AB, and he's got it all. He's got what Shanahan needs. Shanahan loves him. I've heard things that he said about him before. He loves how he operates and how he's always sharp on his routes and how he can separate, beat man coverage. He's good at blocking. Like, Shanahan loves the guy. What it does for the Broncos, I think, is opens up room for Deshaun Hamilton And not only that, but there's another guy I'm looking at is Juwan Winfrey over there. It may be more of a dynasty thing. It's the team loves him. The media surrounding the team loves him. He's out of Colorado like Lindsey. And I think he's going to get his shot here soon. So.
All right, good stuff. Getting a little deep dive dynasty hit in there. I like that. All right, let's go ahead and get moved on to the games here. We're going to start with we're going to talk about waiver wires first. Ryan, we'll go to you first. We'll talk about some waiver wires. Let me hit the drop first.
It's now time for the waiver wire pickups of the week.
All right, Ryan, we'll go to you first. Give us 2 or 3 of your guys this week you're trying to add.
Well, the first one I'm going to do is Kenny Stills. He's available in a ton of leagues right now, like over 75%. And Will Fuller's out for an extended period of time. And he has a specific role in that offense of stretching the field, which is something that Kenny Stills is great at. He's not Will Fuller. He's not going to have that kind of ridiculous production, but he's still a guy who can go off for 130 and a touchdown, possibly more in a heartbeat because of his big playability. Watson loves throwing down the field, and I think someone has to fill that role, and he best suits that, even more so than Kiki Kuti, who is fast, but he's more of that slot guy. So I think Stills is a good pickup for this week. Obviously, the top guy right now has to be, as blank, Ty Johnson for Detroit, with Carry-On going to the IR. He's going to be an RB3 with upside. They're still a team that's always used the committee, and even with Carry-On, they still took a while before they had him in the feature role. I think we're going to have to see the same thing out of him, being that he hasn't been in that role, but he has big playability, so it should be able to produce. But make sure to pick him up, but temper your expectations a little bit.
All right, good stuff. Chris, we'll go to you. Give me 2 of your waiver wire guys for this week.
I like Debo. Having Sanders over there, to me, opens things up for a young guy who's not used to. I mean, I get Kittle's kind of the de facto number 1, but as far as the wide receivers are concerned, Sanders going to alleviate a lot of pressure for him. So I like Debo. Samuel's get his pickup. He's really, really under. And then another guy that I have is Wendell Smallwood. Actually, he's kind of one of those desperation pickups, but everybody needs them. Sometimes you're in deep leagues, and sometimes somebody's hoarding all the running backs. So I mean, there's somebody out there for everybody. But Wendell Smallwood's a good one. He's the next guy up on the depth chart, and if Adrian Peterson is more banged up than the team wants, they don't care that they're going against the Vikings and his history with them and blah blah blah. They might decide to cut his workload back and pull him in there, and it's not going to hurt you at all. And I don't think anybody's looking to drop a ton of fab to beat you out on him either. So
good point. I like that. I didn't even consider him actually. That's a good call. I just have 2, and one of them kind of goes hand in hand with the one that Ryan gave out with Ty Johnson. Ty Johnson's more of a pass down back, as well as J.D. McKissick, who's also with that roster right now. Saints just released Zach Zenner, so I think that Zach Zenner could possibly be added by the Detroit Lions. You could probably get him almost free. No one's thinking about Zach Zenner right now, but he could play that early down, first and second down role if they do end up adding him from the free agent market, which is a pretty good pickup. I think he can be their touchdown guy. So he's an under the radar guy that I'm looking at. And another one is, I think it's pronounced, they just shortened it up as Bissy Johnson. I can't pronounce his entire name, but he's for the Minnesota Vikings. Of course, with Adam Thielen being out this week, he's going to fill that role. He played that role last week in the slot, and he got a pretty good amount of work there. With Kirk Cousins going against his old team, the Washington Redskins, they're going to want to really air it out. And with Diggs taking it deep, I think that Bissy Johnson can be a good 1-week add, especially if you're the Thielen owner. He'd be a good one to just plug and play and roll with him. He won't light it up, but he'll give you some good production as well. All right, any other guys you want to mention before we move on to the game previews, guys? Anybody else?
I think I'm good.
All right.
Yeah, I think we're going to touch.
Go ahead.
Of them here. Your boy may be worth an ad right now. And Mike Gesicki and FL Gross saying he's had 40 yards 2 games in a row. And there's rumors swirling around about Devontae Parker possibly being on the move. So if that happens, that frees up targets. He's still not good, but volume's king.
Hey, watch it.
Yeah, I figures after I finally gave up on him, he starts doing well. I actually got rid of him in my dynasty league, and someone picked him up, and now he's been playing well. Go figure.
That's how it works, man.
Yep, that's how it works. All right. Of course, last week we did our pick'ems. Ryan, of course, came out on top. He had 11 correct. I only had 9 correct, bringing the season total to a 60-53 lead by Ryan. I didn't catch up any ground last week, so I'm hopefully that this week can be a week that I can catch up with. Let's go ahead and get into the team previews. As soon as I can find the drop. There we go.
This week's game-by-game previews.
All right, sorry about the delay there. I couldn't find the drop. All right, so we're going to kick it off here with the Thursday night game. We have, I think, 2 teams on a bye this week, so not a lot of byes this week. The Ravens and the Cowboys are on a bye, so guys like Zeke won't be playing. Of course, Lamar Jackson, Mark Ingram, Amari Cooper, Gallup, Dak Prescott, and Mark Andrews, Hollywood Brown. None of those guys are going to be in your lineups this week. So we're going to find some guys to replace these guys, starting with this game. Redskins at 1-6, going to the Vikings at 5-2. Ryan, my question for you is, with Thielen out last game, tight end Irv Smith Jr. played some snaps in the slot. Is he startable this week with guys like Mark Andrews not playing this week? Can you pick him up and start him this week?
I mean, the startable is any tight end outside of the top 8. Who is just basically throw dart at the board and pray for the best. He had a nice amount of snaps. He had the exact same target share as getting 6 targets as Kyle Rudolph had with Thielen going down. Him and they have 2. I mean, it's Washington, though, so chances are the Vikings should come out pretty early, and it could be a heavy, heavy, heavy dose of Dalvin and Alexander Madison. I don't love it. I mean, I have to be very desperate to start him. I'd probably pivot elsewhere, but I feel kind of gross about it.
So let me ask you this: you own Mark Andrews. He's your only tight end. Your options are Mike Gesicki and Irv Smith Jr. Which one you going with?
Pass. I'd probably go. To getting that fluky touchdown out of the 2 of them, being he's on better offense, but I don't feel great.
All right, good stuff. And I apologize, guys, if you're trying to watch right now. We do have connection issues. I'm hoping to try to fix it here. I'm closing some of my programs trying to get this connection issue fixed. So I apologize if you missed anything.
That question you had did kind of remind me of something that I wanted to bring up in the waivers.
What's that?
Jacob Hollister, tight end for Seattle. He led all of them in snaps last week, not Luke Wilson. And
nice.
He was targeted 6 times. The production sucked because it was a monsoon and everybody was dropping the balls. I mean, Baltimore had 7 drops themselves. So, dude had 6 targets his first game with Russell Wilson in terrible conditions and Russ's worst game of the season. It could come around where he's getting targets. He might be one of the tight ends I'm really looking for this week.
Oh, good call. Good call.
My bad for forgetting him earlier. It just popped into my head when I was...
Good call. All right, let's move to the next game here. We have the 0-7 Bengals going to the 4-3 Rams. So last week, Todd Gurley only played 60% of the snaps. Was it because it was a blowout, or just the new norm for Todd Gurley, do you think, Chris?
I think it's a little bit of both. What comes to mind to me is for all the NBA heads and things like that. Like you think about LeBron or Kawhi, and some of the people that the Spurs have had, and when Popovich likes to rest them. I think load management is the way that they're going with Todd Gurley. I don't know why they're not coming out and saying what's wrong with him. But when the game's, in hand, why run him out here and run him like they used to in his first couple of years? I think it's about keeping him fresh and keeping whatever's, lingering with him, whether it be his knees or whatever, and sprinkling in a little bit of illusion that he's okay. I think that's what they're trying to do because they're in bed with him with this money. So, I mean, it's not like they can just, go kick him to the curb or whatever, so get somebody to take his contract. So I think this is just a new norm. for them.
Yeah, especially with this matchup too at 0-7 Bengals. I think that they're going to, get ahead in this game and be the same scenario where they're going to kind of sit him out. We forgot to pick the first game there, Ryan. Are you going with the Vikings, I'm assuming, that first game?
Yeah.
And Chris, are you going with the Vikings in that first game as well?
Yeah.
All right, and then we'll pick the second game, the Rams and Bengals. Everybody going Rams here?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I'm never picking the Bengals anyway.
Man, my own heart there.
All right, the next game on the docket, we got the 2-5 Broncos going to the surprising 4-2 Colts. Ryan, my question for you is: in 2 of the last 3 games, Marlon Mack has had 44 yards or fewer. Broncos, since getting gashed by Fournette, have held 3 straight teams under 80 yards. Those teams were the Chargers, the Titans, and the Chiefs. How worried are you about Mack this week?
I mean, you got to start Marlon Mack. I think he's a solid RB2. I'm not super worried about it. They've had games. The Colts have been beating teams pretty handedly recently, in above expectations. But this is the kind of game where they can have the lead, and playing with the lead is going to mean volume for Mack. So I trust that in based off game script alone.
All right, good stuff. Good stuff. Let's pick this game: Broncos at Colts. Chris, who you got for this game?
I got the Colts. I feel like a lot of people are giving up on everybody in the AFC just because the Patriots did what they did. But as far as everybody else, I like how the Colts are doing, and I don't think Mr. Not Elite is going to do enough to overcome what the Colts can do.
All right, good stuff. Ryan, you going Colts as well?
Oh yeah. I'm always betting against Flacco.
All right, I too am taking the Colts. The next game on the docket is the 2-4 Bucks going to the 3-4 Titans. Chris, hashtag free Corey Davis. Davis had a good game last week with Tannehill. Is this a 1-week fluke or is this the new trend?
This is a new trend. I've been waiting for somebody to ask me about this or bring it up because I grabbed Corey Davis everywhere he was available, and I've let him rot on my bench in money leagues and everywhere, and I've been waiting on something. I couldn't just let him go. And once I saw Tannehill was coming, I was like, okay, even though he's not like a winning quarterback, I know what he can do under center compared to Mariota, who I'm higher on Winston than I am on Mariota as far as that class is concerned. But I think it's going to be a every week thing depending on the porous when it comes to their defense, at least in the secondary. And this game and a half that they've been going after him, when he went in the game and I saw how he was targeting him and where he was targeting him, how like the tight windows and things like that. And so I was like, Tannehill, you're not that bad. I remember when he was, screaming at Gesicki about his routes and stuff like that. So I know he understands his wide receivers, and I think this is going to be something to stay, at least to keep him at a wide receiver 2 level and not, in the bottoms of everything like Mariota had him.
Yeah, I think Tannehill has a history of at least having a receiver that's in the top 12 or top 20, and that's, of course, he had Landry for so many years in Miami, whereas Mariota doesn't really have that history with anybody. He hasn't made anybody a receiver 1, so that history is there. So I agree. I think Corey Davis is going to be good with Tannehill. There will be games, obviously, where they still struggle. They got some good defenses on their schedule still, so I think they'll struggle a little bit in some games. But in a good matchup like this one against the Bucks, then, yeah, fire up Corey Davis. I think he'll be great. All right, the next game is the 3-1 Cardinals. I hate ties in the NFL.
Make a pick.
Oh yeah, let's make a pick. Go ahead, Ryan. Take your pick. Bucks, Titans. Who you got?
I'm taking the Bucks on this one.
Oh,
I think they have their high-powered offense. I think Tennessee has a good defense, but I think it's built for facing the run more than the pass. So I'm going to go lean towards Bucks on this.
All right, Chris. Who you got for this game?
I thought I was going to be the only one, but I'm going to go leading the Bucks too. I'm probably one of the few left that are waiting to see if Bruce is going to be able to whisper in Jameis's ear and get him to go right. But either way, that offense is explosive at times. So I don't know if the Titans are going to be able to handle that, even with Byard and all those guys in their secondary. And I love what they have up front, at least to go against the Titans. So I'm going to take the Bucks here too.
All right. I hope that whatever he whispers in Jameis Winston's ear it starts with OJ and ends in Howard, because I own him in Dynasty and he's been killing me. I'm actually picking the Titans here. I think they got the home game here. I think the Bucs coming off the bye will be better, but I do think the Titans defense is good enough to shut that Bucs offense down. Jameis Winston under pressure is one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL. I think they get pressure on Jameis Winston, makes a few mistakes, throws interceptions, and maybe have a fumble, and I think the Titans do get this game. So that's one game I can catch up on Ryan, hopefully, if I can get this Titans game right.
I'll see building on the lead.
All right, so now we're going to go to the Cardinals at 3-3-1, going to the 6-1, surprising 6-1 Saints. Ryan, my question for you is, this game could feature two backup running backs, both Chase Edmonds, and Latavius Murray. Which one do you prefer of the two? And which one has a better, or do either one of them have any rest of season value?
Of the two this week, I prefer Edmonds. I think they'll be passing a lot, being it's Arizona they have to, and the PPR value is always going to lead that way for me when it comes to running backs. I think he should get targeted pretty heavily and get a lot of volume. He's not going to have a game like last week, but I think he puts up enough points where he's definitely fantasy relevant. I like him in that RB2 range. Similar with Murray, maybe a little bit less because he needs more of a touchdown to get there, but I think he'll definitely get the carries. Rest of the season, I like Edmonds because he does have that standalone value. You can start him even if DJ is healthy, being what he brings to the table. Once Kamara is back, Murray's an afterthought, other than maybe a touchdown vulture. So rest of the season, Edmonds. Murray's just a placeholder.
Fair enough. All right, go ahead and pick this game. Cardinals at Saints. Who you got?
Saints.
Saints. Chris, who you got for this game? Cardinals at Saints.
I definitely got the Saints on that one.
Yep, got the Saints as well, being at home. I can't believe they're 6-1 with Teddy Bridgewater quarterback. It's kind of surprising, but a very good team.
It's
there
unbelievable.
For sure. It's really crazy. I mean, that defense has been nasty.
Sean Payton Coach of the Year for that.
Yeah, I agree so far. All right, the next game is the Chargers at 2-5, going to the Chicago Bears at 3-3. Chris, my question for you is: Keenan Allen has all but disappeared after his hot start. Is it time to be looking for other options in this tough matchup?
No. I want to say no, but not as much as some of these other guys that have tough matchups. But with Keenan Allen, I believe I'm kind of have a soft spot for him because I love a great technician. I love the way he runs his routes. I love the way he gets open and separates. Regardless, like I was watching their game last week, and it's the kind of catches and the kind of ways he gets open. I just have a hard time not believing it's just one catch or a couple of catches. And Phillip Rivers is definitely going to target him. As long as Williams and Henry are healthy and doing what they need to do, I think he'll be fine. I was looking at some stats for people who've gone against the Bears, and actually there's been a few guys that have gone over 80 yards and caught a touchdown against the Bears, and one of those guys being Paul Richardson. So, I mean, Emmanuel Sanders, Diggs, and Michael Thomas are the other ones, but if I'm not starting him and Paul Richardson did what he did and some of these other guys did, then I would just be crazy to call myself a Keenan Allen truther. So I'm gonna roll with him in this matchup.
Yeah, I agree. And I think last week, we saw that Rivers targets him regardless. It wasn't a good game because he couldn't catch any of those passes, but Rivers did look for him quite a bit last week. So when you're getting that type of volume, I think you got to go with it for sure. Mm-hmm. All right, let's pick this game. This is a little bit tougher than some ones we already had already. So Chargers at Bears. Ryan, who you got for this one?
I'm the Bears. I think the defense is still really, and I don't think the Chargers have an identity as a team yet. They don't know what to do with their offense. They have a ton of weapons. They just don't know how to use it.
Yep.
And they're beat up on defense. So I'm going to go Bears.
Bears. All right, Chris, who you got for this game?
I don't want to keep going contrarian. It's hard to choose just because you got the Bears with their offense being somewhat terrible a lot with Trubisky, but then you got the Chargers who can't figure it out on either side of the ball. But I guess I'm going to have to go like Ryan and just say because of that defense, the Bears is always going to have them in every game. So as long as Trubisky doesn't mess it up, the Bears should come out of this 4-3. So.
Agreed. I'm going with the Bears as well at home. So sweep that one. All right, on to the Eagles at 3-4, going to the surprising Bills at 5-1. And this question is very simple, Ryan. Can we trust any of the Eagles' fantasy options this week?
I know he's been super disappointing to everybody, and everybody loves to hate him this year. But he is tight end 6. He's averaging 11.6 PPR points a week, which is okay. But the thing is, he's leading all tight ends in targets. I trust volume when it comes to fantasy football, and he's getting targeted in the red zone. It's just missing. And when you're getting that many balls thrown your way, it's bound to hit. And I think that 11 points a game is going to see a boost. I think it's a buy window for him, and he's somebody I do trust. As for the rest of them, probably Alshon. I'd leave him in the game, but no one really else.
Yep, I'm agreeing with you on that one. I think this question was kind of had a place in my heart because I actually owned Zach Ertz in this past week. I also own Goddard on my bench, so I got Zach Ertz starting, and on my bench Goddard goes off. So I was pretty upset about that, but luckily I pulled the victory out still, so it didn't hurt me too bad.
I say also the Bills are really good on the outside, especially at corner and deeper outs. So it's going to be a lot of dump offs.
Good point.
Because you're going to be avoiding Trey White at all costs. So I might take back what I said about Alshon, actually. I'm thinking about Trey White out there. He's super underrated.
Yep, he really is. All right, let's go ahead and pick this game, Ryan. Who you got? Bills, Eagles at Bills. Who you got?
Bills at home, man. Bills Mafia has that place rocking.
Yep.
And that defense travels.
Yep.
Or it doesn't have to travel. That defense is ridiculous. I'm going Bills.
Agreed. Chris, who you got?
Definitely have to have the Bills. If it's even allowed, they're almost like my second team. I've fallen for every piece of their team, especially in IDP and Dynasty and all that. Like I have a bit of everything everywhere. So
Nice.
I have a hard time not, especially for Knox and anything about that sweet man. So I'm definitely taking the Bills over the Eagles.
Good stuff. Yep, sweep it. I'm going Bills as well. All right, the last game before the break, we got the Raiders at 3-3 going to the Texans at 4-3. Chris, we kind of talked about this a little bit in the waiver wire report, but Will Fuller expected to be out for a while. Kiki QT or Kenny Stills rest of season. Who you got?
I want to say both, but I know that Kenny Stills has that big playability. He's shown that, in Miami. He's shown that here almost right off the bat. So it's kind of hard to go away from that. We've seen what kind of production a wide receiver 2 being across from a bona fide wide receiver 1 can have, like a Juju, like a Calvin Ridley sometimes, Mike Williams across from Keenan Allen. So it's kind of hard to go from those guys, especially when it's a split in and a flying normally fantasy gold. It's kind of hard to get a gold slot guy. It takes a special guy. So it'd be Stills, but I wouldn't sleep on a QT either. So
all right, good stuff. All right, guys, quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll finish up the rest of the games for this week, and then we'll do a little bit of buy low, sell high at the end there. So hang tight.
In the unpredictable world of fantasy sports, when all hope seems lost and chaos and confusion rule, one hero will rise. And change everything. GoingFor2.com. Because no one remembers the extra point.
All right, welcome back. I'm here with Ryan and Chris, and we are breaking down every game of the week and doing one question for each game. We are at the Giants at 2-5, going to the Lions at 2-3-1. And Chris, this question is for you. Assuming Kerryon misses this game, which we now know that he will definitely miss this game, is Ty Johnson or J.D. McKissick the fill-in option for the Giants? Which one do you like better, those two guys?
Again, it's going to be one of those both kind of situations. I think it'll be like a 50-50, 60-40 type deal. I don't think it's going to be any more than that. Ty Johnson hasn't shown us anything that says, let's give this guy the whole workload. Even with Kerryon there, Ty Johnson and McKissick have kind of split even as backups. Like nobody has really jumped ahead and going back and looking at the snap counts and the statistics as far as their rushing attempts and even some of their target and receptions, just like all lining up. So I don't see anything that tells me, even watching them either, that one guy's going to get it over the other. But Ty did get a little bit more work this past game, so I'm going to lean him. But then again, I've seen what McKissick has done when he was at Seattle, and everybody was just breaking apart, and he was the last guy up.
Yeah.
So we've seen him be able to be okay, and the Giants aren't exactly a powerhouse defense. So I think you can't go wrong in at least a flex with either one of them, but I'm not putting them any higher than that.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you're in a deep league, they're both flex options. Prefer Johnson of the two, but J.D. McKissick has been good in the past, and he looks explosive. I mean, when you look at him on the field, he looks explosive. So he might be able to break a big one, and all he needs to do is break one big one, and you're good for this. Good for your lineup. All right, let's pick this game. This is a tough one to pick. Giants at 2-5, and at the Lions 2-3-1. Chris, who you got for this game?
I got the Lions. I think they got kind of embarrassed last week, so I think they're going to be coming out for blood. They're going to come out and try to shut down Daniel Jones. And I think Slay and company are going to pull themselves up by the jock straps and get it done on defense. Nobody's going to be able to really shut down Galladay. So him, Marvin Jones, and everybody else. I think the Lions are going to have a good game this game and take it.
All right, good stuff. Ryan, who you got for this game?
Yeah, the Lions. Matt Stafford's playing really good football right now. And New York is not protecting Daniel Jones, and he's just getting beat on every week, and that's not a recipe for a young quarterback to stay healthy and perform well.
Agreed. I'm going with the Lions as well, so sweep it. All right, on to the next one, Ryan. We got the Jets, who looked terrible on Monday night, absolutely terrible at 1-5, and the Jags at 3-4. We've been waiting for it all season. Is this going to be the Le'Veon Bell breakout week for him? Is this going to be the one where we see the old Le'Veon Bell? What do you think?
I think it is. I mean, if you look at their schedule so far, they played Buffalo, Cleveland, New England twice, Dallas, and the Eagles. Every one of those teams have had very good run defenses. And only two of those games we had Darnold, and so they've been playing from behind, which isn't great for a running back. Coming up, we have Jacksonville, Miami, New York, Washington, Oakland, Cincinnati, Miami. It's about to be Le'Veon Bell season. I'm not going to say him in our buys, but I'm sending out offers everywhere for Lev Bell. He's still been startable because he gets volume, and now that volume's going to get some stops to go with it. So,
all right, good stuff. Pick this game. Jets at Jags. Who you got for this one?
I'm going to take the Jets in this one. I think Sam Darnold is not trash. I think he's a good quarterback. I think he just played a terrible matchup last week, and they showed flashes. I'm going to Jets on this.
Let's just hope he doesn't see ghosts of Jalen out there. If he sees Jalen out there, sees a ghost of Jalen, he might throw a few picks, but definitely agree. I think I'm going Jets as well. Chris, who you got for this game?
I definitely got the Jets. For people who play DSTs in their lineups, I've grabbed the Jets everywhere. I feel like they're going to pick it up. That's why I grabbed them now, because I knew nobody was going to get them against the Patriots. And that's even perfect for me. So, I mean, if you want to go grab them, shout out. Go grab them now, because they're going to start rolling, I think. So
that might be the first. That might be the first defense we've had on here all year.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, Chris, we're going to you next for the Seahawks at 5-2, going to the Falcons at 1-6. And something I want to point out real quick: it's been a bunch of terrible games, but not mistaken. I mean, these games are very one-sided. It seems a lot of them are, really two really bad teams, or one real good team, one real bad team. It's going to be a weird week in the NFL for sure. But Seahawks 5-2, going to the terrible Falcons at 1-6. The question I got for you is Calvin Ridley an every week starter now that they traded Sanu away?
Absolutely. It's one of those things I mentioned earlier. It's kind of one of those things I live by. Is like when you have a big timer across from you on the left, or even if they're on the right, that wide receiver 2 always feasts, because teams are going to try to take that guy away from him. Sanu had 2 more targets than Calvin Ridley has on the year. I think it was going to be the same way as it was last year, where they're going to be neck and neck, and it was. And with him gone, that's, all those targets missing now, so it's got to go to somebody. And obviously when they're taking away Julio, you got Hooper, and you got Calvin Ridley, and I think that this is going to be really good for him. So he's definitely going to be an every week starter for me.
Good stuff. Let's pick this game. Who do you got for this game, Falcons or Seahawks, Chris?
I think Seahawks are going to take this one. Another team that didn't perform as well as I thought they were going to last week, but Falcons are a disarray. They're up to Matt Schaub, and I don't think he's going to go blow the doors off. So I think the Seahawks are going to come in and get a win, as they should, because Russ is still, in my opinion, up there in the MVP talks. He's awesome.
Agreed. Ryan, you got Seahawks as well?
Yeah, all the same reasons.
All right, sweep it. Going Seahawks as well. All right, next one on the docket, we got the Browns at 2-4, going to the Patriots at 7-0. This one is for you, Chris. Let's say you've got Allen Robinson and DJ Chark, those kind of receivers on your bench right now. Are you starting any of those kind of guys over OBJ this week with a bad matchup?
Absolutely, because the New England Patriots, I don't know why anybody would even take a chance. I tried a couple of times this year, and it was dumb moves, and those it's just not worth it, especially not with the way that, if Baker was playing different, maybe, but with the line how it is, and with how they're playing, with how Kitchens is managing that team, Baker's gonna be seeing ghosts. So no, I'm not playing OBJ. I'm picking anybody. Now it depends, obviously matchups and things like that, because volume still is king. But when I went back to look at some of the ones that have played against him, even some of the twos, it's not good. I can't say I want to start OBJ. I'm sorry.
Yep, I agree. I think if you got a better option, you definitely take it. Obviously, if you got OBJ, you want to start him because he is OBJ and just takes one play to break it. But if I got a guy like Allen Robinson or Shark on my bench, I think I'm playing those guys over OBJ this week. All right, let's pick this game. Is anybody going with the Browns? No, I didn't think so. All right, sweep it. All right, we got the first good game here, I think, with two teams with winning records. The Packers at 6-1. I know I missed my team, guys. I did it on purpose. We'll get back to that in just a minute. Packers at 6-1, going to the Chiefs at 5-2. Ryan, we're going to you on this one. With no Mahomes, outside of Kelsey and Tyreek Hill, is there anybody else worth even a flex spot from the Chiefs?
If you're desperate, maybe Damian Williams, but not really. Packers defense is actually pretty good this year, so there's that with them. But no Mahomes, I know they're still very well schemed offense, but Mahomes is a different breed, and against a team like that, I'm not trusting anybody but stars for the Chiefs.
All right, good stuff. Let's pick this game. Packers at Chiefs is a tough one. Ryan, who you got?
I'm taking the Packers.
All right.
I think got the big guns there. It's different.
I agree 100%. I think I'm taking the Packers as well. I've taken them all year this year, and so far I've been right every time but once. Chris, who do you got?
Got to go with the Packers. The Chiefs' defense is a lot worse. I would have went with the Chiefs, but because I think with Andy Reid in this system, I think Matt Moore could step in and be serviceable, but the defense wouldn't be able to support them, and Rodgers has been playing like vintage Rodgers, so you got to go Packers here.
Agreed. I'm going Packers as well. All right, I skipped my game because I wanted to leave it to the second to last game. We'll get to the Monday night game here in just a second. The Panthers at 4-2 are going to my 6-0 49ers. And the question I have for myself is, with the Niners' struggles on offense, is there anyone outside George Kittle worth starting? The short answer to that is actually no. I don't believe anybody is worth starting. I think if you had to start Sanders, you could. But in his first week, trying to get in here with this good defense in the Panthers, I don't know if I want to go with Sanders. I don't want to risk it. Our running game has been a little bit suspect since we lost our 2 offensive tackles and our fullback. So I'm not trusting that. I think Jimmy G is going to be under pressure the entire game. We can't block anybody. And those passing options are going to struggle a little bit. You start Kittle because he's a tight end, and Kittle's just, he's a beast. He needs 1-2 catches, and he can break one of them to the house. He's the one person I would start in this lineup. Defense, you can start the defense, I guess. Panthers do have a backup quarterback in Kyle Allen. So if you're going to start someone besides Kittle, it could be the Niners defense, who've been awesome all year. I'm a little worried about this game as a Niners fan. My friend's a big Panthers fan, so we're going to be battling out this weekend. This will be a true test of my team to see if we're actually legit or not. I'm still kind of doubtful myself. Jimmy G has not shown me anything yet that I really like, so this will be a true test to see how we can play. All right, let's pick this game, Ryan. Who you got? Panthers 4-2 going to the 6-0 49ers. Who you got?
I really, really wanted to pick Carolina to give you a chance to have a comeback here, but I can't do it, man. San Fran's D is fantastic, and they get after quarterbacks. Kyle Allen's young. He's played really well and really poised, but he hasn't seen a defense like this yet, so I'm going to San Fran.
All right. Of course, I'm going San Fran as well. Chris, who you got for this one?
You got to go San Fran. They've been making everybody look like children going against them. As much as I love Christian McCaffrey, and I'm going to start him everywhere, you can't have faith in that team. I don't care how well Kyle Allen is playing, and we could be wrong, but I just don't. I think the 49ers defense is just too ridiculous right now, close to how the Patriots is, and I got to go with the Niners this game.
Yeah, I'm going Niners as well, and I think that Jimmy G is small sample size, but he has yet to lose a home game which he starts. He is much better at home. I think his interception ratio, is 12 touchdowns to 3 interceptions at home compared to 12 touchdowns and 11 picks on the road. So Jimmy G will be better at home, good enough to keep them afloat and keep that defense, being able to get after the quarterback. And, I think they're going to get this game in the end. All right, let's go to the barn burner Monday night game. We got the Dolphins at 0-6 going to the Steelers with Mason Rudolph back in the lineup at 2-4. With Mason Rudolph back, is Juju able to be started this week, you think, Chris?
I think he's able to be started, but it's not going to be something that's going to make you feel exactly good. Middle for him. They've been holding Mason Rudolph back. When Hodges was in there, he was holding him back. They both have great arms. It's the play calling and them being afraid for whatever reason. I can't stand the play calling. I'm a Steelers fan, so this is a very frustrating thing to talk about. And obviously, Ryan knows because he's my mortal enemy, being a Ravens fan. But
it's true.
Yeah, Juju, you can start him, but it's not going to be with confidence. It's going to be one of those things where I'm going to leave him in the flex and turn my back and hope he gets a big play.
Good point. All right, let's pick this game. Steelers at Dolphins. Chris, you going with your Steelers?
Got to, or I'm going to go crazy. That's the only time I can't be rational. But they should get this one. It should be easy, but it seems like it will be a trap game. And before I go ranting anymore about
good stuff. All right, Ryan, you got the Steelers as well. Can you pick the Steelers this week?
Yeah, I mean Miami's actively trying to lose. Like they're bad.
Yep.
And they're competing with Cincinnati for that number 1 pick now. So
yeah, I actually
Pittsburgh.
I realized today that the Redskins, because I got friends who are all Redskins fans. Not Redskins, the Bengals. I believe Bengals and Dolphins play in Week 16. They're going to be going for that number 1 pick there, so it's going to be a game of who can lose this game. I think they're both going to try to get safeties and just turn the ball over on purpose to try to lose that last game of the year to see who can go undefeated or defeated. All right. Yeah, it's going to be ugly. It's going to be an ugly Week 16 game for sure. All right, let's go do our buy low, sell high. Ryan, we'll go to you first. Give us your 2 lows of the week.
He had a little bit of a down game this week against Baltimore, but he's been absolutely fantastic, and he doesn't have the name recognition that all these other running backs have, even though he's been consistently great for the past 2 seasons. And he's somebody I know I can pick up. If I can get in trade, I can start every single week. He's going to give me double-digit points, and I'm going to be completely happy about it. So I'm going to go after Chris Carson. And then at wide receiver, I'm going to try to go after somebody still like some of the bigger name guys who are underperforming a little bit. Like, I still wouldn't mind going after Stephon Diggs. But, I mean, we're getting Odell right now, man. I know we talk trash on him again, especially after this New England game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going after him. This team, it's gonna click sooner or later in Cleveland. So much talent, and I was looking at the stats today. Out of all the first and second year quarterbacks, the ones who have been playing really bad, all of them have had really terrible offensive lines, and in the top 10 for QB hits allowed, except for Baker in Cleveland. They're 30th for hits allowed, so they're protecting him. It's just not clicked yet. But once it does, man, Odell doesn't need much to become a star. I'd be making offers for him like crazy. And going into the sell highs, obviously my top guy has to be Marvin Jones. He went absolutely crazy, and you know how people are when they see a 3-touchdown performance out of somebody.
Yeah.
It's almost too easy to say him, but I'm going to move Marvin Jones if possible. And the other one I think I'm going to try to move is Allen Robinson. I know he's been pretty decent this year, but he's had the best game of the season. And I think he'll have big games, but he's going to have games where he disappears. And off a performance like that, you can get somebody a lot more consistent. So I'd be trying to move him. He has the name recognition plus the big game. That's a perfect chance to move him for top-tier value.
All right, good stuff. Chris, give us your buy low and sell highs. Who you got?
Actually, my first buy low is going to be a one David Johnson. You got injuries, you got Edmonds going off, you got Alfred Morris coming in. All things that I'm not worried about, but all things that I know other people worry about. When those kind of things come out, it starts to depress value. People worry. You see, oh, he's going to get traded. Oh, Edmonds the better back, and blah, blah, blah. Like, they're going to stick with David Johnson. And I think you can take advantage of the news and things like this. So this might be one of the lower points and one of those times where you can say, I got David Johnson another year as far as dynasty is concerned. But I think he'll be back and healthy this year for redraft purposes. So I'll definitely say buy low for David Johnson. My other buy low is going to be John Brown. Now, he's not going to be like, and it's not like this big-time guy, but, I mean, I've seen it everywhere, and even looking back at his stats, it just reeks of consistency. He's not blowing it up. He's not giving you, 20-point games, and he's not like a wide receiver, one like a D-Hop or something like that, but he's consistent. He's going to give you that big play. He's going to give you those that volume that Josh Allen gives him. So I'll go grab him because I don't think people are thinking about him. I think he's not going to be a guy that's going to be on waivers, but he's not somebody that people are going to be like, no, my precious, you can't have him. So I would try to go after John Brown as well. And then sell highs, I'm going to go after selling Chubb. I talked this off season in the beginning of the season that when Kareem Hunt came back, I don't know if Kitchens is going to be able to utilize him right, but I think it's going to be frustrating with two talents like them. Like, it's not like some backups coming. Like, Kareem Hunt was tearing it up when he was with Kansas City. He just was acting like a nutball, to eventually find his way off the team. But, this guy is a legit running back, and everybody knows that. But then so is Chubb. They both can pass catch, and they both can run well. So it's going to be either they're not going to be game planned very efficiently, or Cleveland's going to run them both, and it's going to be a hot hand thing. It could be great, but it could be frustrating too, and I don't want to deal with that, so I'm going to try to sell him high. I'm pretty sure, I can't remember if he was the number one right now or he's in the top 3, I'm pretty sure. So I'm going to try to get big money off of him. And then another kind of, I guess, slide in there is Matt Moore maybe, and it's more of a focus toward the person who lost 2 quarterbacks, which I've seen in some leagues, both redraft and dynasty. Matt Moore performed well. He's got great weapons, and that can be kind of put towards the discussion when you talk about trying to sell him to somebody. And I think Matt Moore, he's not a super sell high, but he's somebody you can turn for some value more so for dynasty purposes, or, if you can sneak somebody from a redraft roster. I try to sell Matt Moore.
All right, good stuff. I love all those calls there. I got a couple that I want to mention. First one I want to talk about is Robbie Anderson. We've mentioned their schedule already on the podcast with some Jacksonville this week. Then they got Miami, the Giants, the Redskins, the Raiders, the Bengals, the Dolphins again before they finally meet the Ravens in Week 15. So Robbie Anderson is set up for a huge second half of the season here. He's got some of the best matchups you can possibly have from wide receiver. I think they bounced back off that Patriots game, and Robbie Anderson is a big buy low for me after that terrible game last week. The other one I got is Cam Newton, because everybody's kind of talking about Kyle Allen and him taking that starting job, and everybody's kind of written off Cam Newton. I think that Kyle Allen goes out this week and struggles against the 49ers and shows that he is a second-year quarterback, and he's a first-time starter. And they go right back to Cam Newton in the following week, and I think he can have a good second half of the season. He's got that rushing ability, and with all these quarterbacks that have gone down this year with Drew Brees and such, you can pick up Cam Newton as a buy low and get him a pretty good start for the end of the season. So he's another one that I'm looking for.
I love that one.
And then my sell highs I got, we talked about Sanders already, Manny Sanders from the 49ers, so I won't talk about him again. The other sell high I got is actually a guy that I sold today, Mr. Sony Michel, coming off his 3-touchdown game last night. Everyone just assumes that that's going to be the norm. He's averaging 3 yards per carry right now. He fell into the end zone 3 times last night. It wasn't exactly like it was beautiful. He is getting some good volume, but I don't know if that's going to continue throughout the whole entire season, especially when Burkhead gets back healthy. He might take some snaps away from him. We saw a little bit of Harris last night. They can probably start to see what they have from him as well. Michel's not lighting it up, so I'm definitely going to be selling high on him. And the last one I have is, this is for redraft, not dynasty, but Mr. Dallas Goedert, who had a huge game this past week at the tight end position. He had a touchdown and a couple big plays. I think it's still Ertz in that offense. I just think it kind of set up well for Goddard to have a good game, and I don't think it continues enough that you're going to be able to just sell him high in redraft leagues. So get rid of your shares of Goddard if you've got any. All right, guys, let's do our Forgotten Fantasy Player.
Get ready for GoingFor2.com's Forgotten Fantasy Player of the Week.
All right, Chris, what you got for us this week for Forgotten Fantasy Player?
The thing that I was looking at is I haven't played fantasy for that long. I've started playing fantasy in about 2015. My buddy in college kind of, it was almost like one of those drug deal things. It's like, hey, you want to play this fantasy football we got? Like, oh yeah, I blame him now for everything, because like now I'm like doing 20 plus hours in all this stuff when I get home. So I was a homer. I drafted a lot of Steelers. There wasn't anybody. I went back and I'm looking at my roster now from that first roster, because we did it on CBS, so they have that history. And there wasn't anybody on there who's like, oh man, I can't believe I forgot about this person or that person. Because I had everybody remembers DeMarco Murray. We remember Jonathan Stewart. Heath Miller was in his last year. Roddy White was in his last year, but they didn't really do too well that year, so they didn't do anything for me. Teddy Bridgewater, I guess is a good one, because he's kind of performing well as a backup now, but this was when he was a starter in Minnesota and doing well then. But it just kind of brings me back memories of starting all in 2015. This was a 16-team league. It's something to dive into for your first team. It's just like, I don't know what the heck is going on right now. And, trying to fill those rosters out, and I've still yet to, win in this thing. I can't break the playoffs. It's ridiculous. But it just brought me to this thing that I know and love. So maybe not sort of a fantasy player that we forgot, but just a little good story that, fantasy football is addicting and it can be extremely fun.
Yes, definitely. He's got a special place in your heart. Yeah, I like that. It's crazy. You've only been playing a couple years now, and you've already kind of dove into being an analyst and dove straight head in on this, and you're doing like rookie profiles and everything else for 2 different sites. That's pretty cool, man. I like it. Just go all in.
Oh yeah, definitely.
All right, let's go around the room and get our Twitter handles. Where can we follow you at, Mr. Chris?
You can follow me at the FF Vigilante. You can find my work with the Fantasy Analyst at the FF Analyst. And you can find all my Devy College draft, scouting, all that other stuff at the Dynasty Draft Room with those guys over there, including Ryan at the Draft Room GX.
All right, good stuff. And Ryan, where can we find your stuff at?
Real quick, Chris, make sure to bring up your Instagram because you do awesome player profile stuff on there with breakdown of videos. Like, it's a disservice for somebody not to follow it.
On my Instagram, it's the_O or IS. I do breakdowns of both NFL and college guys that I like. I try to mirror the kind of things you want to see in your college players coming out. See how slot guys do with their releases from the line, like Juju and a couple other guys, and how Josh Allen does being a running quarterback and things like that. I'll do rankings and things like that. I have a something that kind of goes along with it. Is still in the process. It's called, again, The Office, because I love the show The Office. That's why I call it. So I was like, I had to figure out something. And The Office, the OFIS stands for the Offensive Film Investigation Sanctum. So it's like kind of my place.
Nice.
But I spend most of my time when I'm not doing stuff for the websites, and it's a work in progress. I got a full fantasy relevant depth chart on the last tab. I have from Power 5 to Group of 5, independents, all players I'm looking at for this draft, and underclassmen, and then I'll be working more on the rankings and things like that towards December on there, and then I have my pre-draft and after-draft rankings of the rookies from this past class, and I'm just going to keep building on that and have sort of a archive, I guess, of things. So I kind of dove, again, like you said, diving head first. I didn't dive. I kind of slipped and drowned. So
give us that handle one more time for Instagram, because you kind of broke up a little bit when you gave it to us the first time. What's that handle again?
It's going to be at the_O.F.I.S. The Office. And if you can't get that, then just go to my Twitter page, and it's in my bio, and it's, everything I mentioned is my pinned tweet, and it has been, and it's not going to change.
All right, good stuff. All right, Ryan, where can we follow you at?
Find me at Ryan Searfoss at Fantasy FB Connect on Twitter. Find me here every Tuesday. Find me at the Dynasty Draft Room, which he mentioned. I cover the SEC there. And, yeah, catch y'all next Tuesday.
All right, good stuff. Again, guys, sorry for the connection issues. I'm working on getting that fixed. I know we had a lot of choppy audio tonight, but I will try to dive deep and see what I can do to figure it out. But as always, you can follow me on Twitter at JeffLambert77, right here at GoingFor2.com every Tuesday and Friday on the Armchair Fantasy Show. That's a wrap. Peace.